Oh, hello there. Another story. This is the sequel to Oh, What a Pickle. Oh, What Pickle 2. It's, More Things in Heaven and Earth. Written by me, read by me, copyright by me, Al Donaldson. And if you remember, Oh, What a Pickle was about Doogie the rat and being a really good footballer. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. If my voice breaks in the middle, it's still a bit croaky, but see how things go along. And hope you enjoy it. Uh, Mrs. Madison awoke with a start. Oh, dearie me. She swung her legs out of bed, stretched and yawned. Oh, dear, she said again, and looked out of the window. Oh, dearie, dearie me. I must get in touch with Francis. Francie studied the flyer in the newsagent's window. Spiritualist meeting this Thursday, Inglis Memorial Hall. Everyone welcome, 6:30, unless cancelled for unforeseen circumstances. Mrs. Margaret Madison presiding. Francie wrinkled his nose. Unforeseen? That's a bit rich. You'd think she'd know. Francie tucked his newspaper under his arm and sighed. Why was the pub and the paper shop so far apart? At least a mile. Bloomin' good thing it's not raining. He arrived just as the first raindrop hit his paper, and then the heavens opened. Pint, Francie? Asked Harry. Francie nodded. The pub was full. The clock said 5 minutes past 12. They're keen. Oh, aye. Well, I open up at 11:17 every morning. Bit exact, isn't it? It is, if you know, and when you know, you'll know. And Harry tapped his nose. Francie wondered if it was a cryptic clue in today's crossword. He made himself comfortable and settled down to read his newspaper. Silence reigned in the Panmure Arms, apart from the occasional rustling of newspapers. I have a clue here in this crossword that's got me stumped, said Dave. Is it a 3-letter word that rhymes with hat and cat? Aye, usually your crossword is the easiest and the silliest, said another. Well, it is 3 letters, and it's not hat or cat, replied Dave. So what's the clue? Something that is of no value. A dozen voices shouted out, Tat! Oh, aye, thank you. I have a tricky one. The clue is something to do with a postman, said Jamie. How many letters? Asked Dave. Bloody millions, said Jamie, and the room rang with laughter. Even Tam gave a little smile. A month had passed since Doogie had gone, and it had hit him hard. The Panmure regulars finished reading their newspapers, and the level of conversation increased. Denny ignored that Francie was still reading his and asked, You back here for good now? Francie looked up. Well, I hope so, but who knows what's around the corner? You could go see Mrs. Madison. She'll tell you what fate has in store for you, said Jamie. Pish, it's a load of pish. If she knew what was going to happen, how come she never wins the lottery or knows what's going to win at Perth races? The spirits don't work like that, quipped Jamie. How would you know? When it comes to the spirit world, Mrs. Madison is a very attuned medium. She told me my Uncle Jackie was going to die, and he did. He was 97 and in intensive care. In the racing fraternity, that's called a dead cert, if you'll excuse the word dead. Well, she got it right, didn't she? Denny was going to carry on the argument, but thought better of it and shook his head. When did Maggie Madison get into spiritualism? A few years ago, just after her husband died, said Jamie. Aye, and she never has any good news. She has a spirit guide called Chimp. It's not Chimp, it's Chung. Oh, aye, Chung. He gives messages of doom and gloom. You'd think if someone had died and they'd gone on to the next happy place, it would be full of nice happy things. But all her spirit tells her is how miserable people will become, and to watch out for black cats and ladders. Chung never says you're going to have a wonderful time and good things are coming your way. No, it's all doom and gloom. The pub went silent. Someone further along the bar agreed. Yes, doom and gloom. Harry, the landlord, felt a chill in the air and smiled at all his unhappy customers. Just for today, starting now, it's happy half hour. All pints are 50p off and 20p off a dram. There was a mad rush for the bar. Now, is that everything, Mrs. Madison? Yes. Now, there was something else. What was it? Scotch pies, was it? No. Now, what was it? Mrs. Madison pondered. I know. Have you seen Francis Blair? Today. No, I'm not sure. Mrs. Madison scowled. Well, have you or no? It's not that hard. Oh, you need to calm down, Mrs. Madison. There's no way to behave at your age. She bristled. She took a deep breath and replied calmly, Have you seen Francis Blair today, Mr. Campbell, if you please? Well, I can't recall seeing him today, no. Campbell hoped his white lie went unnoticed. Well, if you do see him, will you be so kind as to pass him a message that I'd like to see him? She nodded at Campbell and walked out of the door. Harry put down the glass he'd been polishing and picked up the phone. Hello, Panmure Arms? Yes. Oh dear. Yes. It's okay. I'll tell him. The Panmure regulars stared at Harry. Whose wife was it? What? Said Harry. Whose wife was checking up on them? No one's wife. The room gave a communal sigh of relief. It was Campbell from the market shop. He told me to tell Francie that Mrs. Madison is looking for you. She wants to see you. Looks like you'll be having a message from beyond, said Jamie. Doom and gloom, muttered Dave. Maggie Madison will be wanting to tell you that you're going to meet with an accident. Maybe you're going to die, said another. This was considered bad form, and they turned on him. How can you say that when Francie's only just returned to us? Well, it's a possibility, said the regular, standing his ground. Francie spent the afternoon avoiding Mrs. Madison, wondering why she wanted to see him. Did he want to know? He didn't want to believe she knew of what was to come. But what if she had a message? Would he have to beware a tall, dark stranger? Making friends with a short, lightish friend sounded much better. Throughout the day, phone calls from all over the village informed the Panmure regulars that Mrs. Madison was looking for Francie. She knows where I am. Why doesn't she come here to speak to me? Unwritten rule. Wives and women don't come in here unless accompanied by their husbands, said Jamie. If I may say so, that is a bit sexist in this day and age. It's not being sexist, said a regular. They know where we are, said another, and knowing where we are means we're not getting into trouble. Or mischief, added another. They started coming in here, we'd have to find somewhere else to go. And then they'd get worried we were up to no good. Francie had never thought about it, but came to the conclusion that the Panmure Arms was really just a creche for retired old men. For the next 2 days, the phone calls concerning Mrs. Madison got more frequent and desperate. Campbell says Mad Maggie Madison has been in 3 times today asking for you, Francie, said Harry. Sounds pretty serious. It's very worrying, said a regular. Why are you worried, said Francie. She may come in here looking for you. There was great concern on their faces. The last thing we want is a rampant spiritualist in the pub, issuing prophecies like doling out sweets. Doom and gloom, said one. What if she fixes us with her evil eye, said another. Let's not be too hasty here, said Denny. There could be some good out of this. You're only interested if she can give you the winners of Perth races next week. This was getting out of hand. I put my hands up. Okay. She's having a spiritualist meeting on Thursday, tomorrow. I'll meet her there. When I told Campbell to tell her, he gave a sigh of relief. She was getting very agitated. She was threatening to go to the Panmure to see you, but I told her you might not be there. Why was she so insistent on seeing me? Was there something she wanted to warn me about? I waited till the last minute before I entered the meeting hall. It was packed. Maybe because the back 2 rows were occupied by the Panmure regulars. Tam waved me over. I kept you a seat. We thought you weren't coming, said Dave. You'd have owed us all a drink if you hadn't, said Jamie. Aye, we're keen to know your fate. No, we're not. We're just nosy buggers. I looked further down the row and saw Harry. Who's running the pub? I closed it. Not much point when all my regulars are here, and besides, I'm a nosy bugger as well. The lights dimmed, and Mrs. Madison appeared from the side and sat down in a wing chair. Thank you all for coming here tonight. For those people new to our meetings, I will be contacting my spirit guide, Chung. I have high hopes for tonight. The spirits are very strong. She then went quite still, and all that could be heard was Mad Maggie Madison's heavy breathing. That sounded quite erotic. Do you think she sounds like that when she gets excited? Said Denny. You know, when she's in bed. Someone from behind punched him in the shoulder. Yes, Chung, yes. Mrs. Madison then proceeded to pass on messages from Chung that had been passed to him from the departed. Is Angela here? Yes, I have Angus here. He says to remind you that the seed potatoes need planting next week, and that colour lipstick doesn't suit you. He was always into fashion, was my Angus. Always knew the latest ladies' fashions, said Angela to those around her. Then he made a little smile and filed something away for use later. After an hour of messages from beyond the grave, there were a number of hankies out and a few sniffles. Some of the Panmure regulars kept looking at their watches. When's Francie's turn? I'm getting a message from Chung for someone here. This is it, Francie. I hope it's a good one. Mrs. Madison had her eyes closed and a big frown. I'm sorry, Chung? I don't understand. He says what? It's for who? What? Can you repeat that, please? Oh, very well. I have a message here for Tam. Is Tam here? All eyes turned to Tam. Tam raised his arm. Oh, there you are. I've got a message here from someone who loved you with all their heart and to say they are very happy and they miss you. Everyone knew that Tam was a loner. He'd never been married, and there had never been anyone special in his life. That was just Tam. The Panmure regulars were on the edge of their seats. This is very strange. I got this message from Chung. Dookie says, squeak, squeak. Do you know what that means? Oh, I do. The few Panmure regulars that could reach him patted him on his shoulders, and I noticed a big tear rolled down Tam's cheek. The meeting finished, and the regulars were disappointed that there had been no message for me. Harry looked at his watch. I'll open up if any of you gentlemen want a drink. They all trooped off, and I went in search of Mrs. Madison. Back at the Panmure Arms, the post-mortem had begun. How did she know about Doogie? It was common knowledge. Doogie was famous in these parts. The debate raged on, but everyone agreed whether the message was from the spirit world or not. Tam was very cheered by his message from Doogie. He looked much happier. So what did Matt Madison tell you? The bar was all ears. Well, before I left, I used to be a bit of a handyman. Well, Mrs. Madison's gutters have fallen down, and she wondered whether I could fix them for her. Bloody hell, is that all? Yes, but isn't it strange? Think about it, said Jamie. If she hadn't been so secretive, we wouldn't have attended, and Tam wouldn't have heard Doogie's message. Aye, agreed Danny. Odd how that worked out, isn't it? When's the next meeting? Someone asked. It looks like Mad Maggie Madison is going to increase her audience. As I came down the ladder, Mrs. Madison came out with her purse. How much do I owe you? No charge. Thank you. Oh, I have a message for you from Kylie. I felt as I'd been hit by a brick. Oh no. When did she die? Not a message from beyond, you idiot. We phone once a week. I mentioned you'd returned. She said to send you her best regards. Regards? Not her love, just her regards. Aye, just her regards. I waved Maggie goodbye and got in the car. Tam wasn't the only man that shed a tear that week. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you so much for subscribing from countries all over the world, from Ukraine, Denmark, Canada, America, Singapore, hello, Australia, New Zealand. You've been very kind, and I think I'm just over 2,000 now. But please pass me on, share me around. Hopefully, other people who like short stories. As I said, I've written these over 40 years. I'm still writing them. I've got 60 odd, and when I go, when I die, all the manuscripts are just going to get chucked out. No publishers want to publish them. Can never get a literary agent because they say short stories people don't buy short stories. But that's life. Fair enough. this is the way I can get my stories out, bigger audience. There's more people um, seen. Oh, what a pickle! In 2 months than for you. Oh, stories. Oh, it's amazing. I'm so honoured that people actually, listen to them, look at them. Hopefully they'll enjoy them. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye bye now.